Oh, wow. Okay, is that clear? Am I clear? Yeah? Okay, great. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Musqueam people for allowing us to gather here today. I think the struggle of the Musqueam people is one that, as an African, I closely relate to, because it's a struggle of wanting to continue to have your culture be relevant, even in the times of today. Second of all, I'd like to thank the Terry team for giving me the stage here today. I actually applied to be on TEDxTerryTalks last year, but that didn't go well, so I'm really glad and fortunate to be here today. But it's actually a good thing that it didn't go well, because I think I have a better story to tell to you guys today. So before I get into that, so I have been introduced as Thato. My last name is Makgolane. I am from South Africa, those of you who don't know me. And I'm from the Bapedi tribe. It's a tribe that's northeast of South Africa. And I share that with you because many of you may think of me as an African, but there's a lot more to that. The second question that I usually get around UBC is, what is this thing that you always wear? Now, I don't know if many of you have picked up that question already, but let me use the stage to share with you what that is. So I was baptized in the St. Agnes Zion Christian Church when I was 15. And this is an insignia that you get given when you get baptized to keep to you, so it reminds you of your commitment. So it's not something that, yes, I worked really hard to get, but to keep it on is another challenge. And so that's what it is. And And being here in Vancouver, coming from South Africa as I did, it was a really good grounding factor for me. So I'm really glad I had that. Now, let me move into why I'm here today. But maybe even before I touch into that, let me share with you a story. So last week, Wednesday, I think it was, I sat down with a lovely young lady who had just landed her dream job. And she was on her way to Malawi to go work with one of the organizations there. And so I sat with her and I asked her, what got you into that? Right? Why are you doing it? And her first response to me was that I've always wanted to help. Right? And I kept posing at it. I said, why? Why do you want to do that? And then the second response was that, you know, she'd always worked with organizations of that sort. That's something that's really close to her. And I kept driving at it, right? And what I got out of it was that by the third, fourth time that I had pushed her to it, I had found out why she was really doing it. And it wasn't something that it was just within her, but it was the experiences that she'd had and the people that she'd grown up with that led her to do what she did. And I can show you how this story is going to relate to the story that I'm going to tell you towards the end. So many of you may have heard already that I worked with a really amazing group of people this past summer, and we started a project called the Ark Initiative. Now, when this project, by any means and any measures, was a miracle in the rate that it happened and the people that I had on this team. When I wrote up this project, in terms of the proposal, it really felt like I was putting a dream to paper, right? I was writing it and thinking, well, this may not happen, but let's just give it a shot. I'm sure many of you in this crowd may have experienced that to some extent. So that was that for me. And this was in January. May 5th, I was sitting around a table with 15 people who were ready to take this project off the ground and trying to prep for our July 1st launch. So that gave us about 3 months to work at. 5 days after that, I left for South Africa. So obviously, you can imagine the type of challenge that laid there. But in those 5 days, I tried to make sure that as quickly and as rapidly as possible, that the team was organized and that they understood the vision and where we're going. Now, one of the core things that lies still within this project today is the philosophy that with the team that we picked to be here, I said to them that you must want to do this out of the heart. This is not the type of project where, you know, you come with the mentality that let's go save Africa. This is not it. If you want one of those type of projects, there are many around, but this one is not it. And we embedded in this project a philosophy of wanting to share stories and tell stories. I said to Jeff Kroeker, the faculty rep that I worked with on this project, I said to him, Jeff, our condition for having people here is they must have a story to tell and they must have experiences. because I don't want people coming to my hometown, right, with this mentality and perception and thinking that we know best, this is how we're going to do things here. But if you're invested in a story, right, you bring yourself down to the level of the people that you're engaging with, right? And you're more invested in wanting to know what lies behind this person, that you don't come, even yourself, right? You're just more open to wanting to learn. But if you go there with what I call the typical mentality, then I don't think you're open to saying that this person sitting here with me, there's something that I can gain and learn from them. But if you go there with the mentality of we're here to share stories, to learn and to gain from each other, then that's another level. And what I saw with this project, that is what broke the barriers. That is where guys that are CEOs and vice presidents of different businesses and companies could engage with a layman on the ground on a level that they could understand. And that, to me, was fascinating and fantastic to see. Now, many of you are wondering probably, okay, so where did Thato take this crowd? Phalaborwa is my hometown. It's on the top right. And I just color Johannesburg there because that's where most people, when they think of South Africa, that's what they know. In fact, many times I've had to say I'm from Johannesburg, just so I don't have to explain where Phalaborwa is. But I'm glad I have the slide, so you get a feel of where I'm from. So in Phalaborwa, what did we do? We had 4 pillars to this project. The one, we ran a business ideas competition. So we had young people in the town submit applications to get funding for a business initiative that they wanted to roll out. One of the things that I saw in my hometown was that ideas were always there, but there were not always financial resources to push it forward. Even in the town, right? There was a lot of resources that you could go to help you build up your business plan and write it up. Fantastic. But where's the money? Right? And so we came in and we partnered with a local organization, the Phalaborwa Foundation, which I think was definitely one of the biggest pillars to this project, because it gave us credibility in the community. And they're the ones that said there is value in what you're bringing here. Besides just Thato being from there, right? The fact that we also partnered with the local community, we knew that we were on the right wavelength, and we had the right connections, right, to come in, and the credibility and the acceptance, I guess, which is really critical in the project going forward. The other pillars, 3 other pillars we had a business and leadership workshop that we ran to an audience of about 50 people, a mix of aspiring entrepreneurs and professionals. And this is where we brought in some of the key alumni that we had on this project to come in and just drill at things like balance sheet, cash flow, assets and all that. And we thought that was going to be very dry for this crowd, but really it was one of the things outside of the leadership content we had and the marketing and all that. It was those technical things that the people appreciated most. And it was good to see how the guys that we had on the team, they were engaging in this workshop. I should have put up pictures to just kind of give you guys a hint of how this looked like, but if you go on the website, we have a video there. It will give you a good feel of the type of energy and the discussions that were going on. I had also 5 students from the Sauder School of Business come into my hometown to intern with 5 businesses in the town. And we were very fortunate. Go Global International Service Learning was very keen on partnering with us on this project. And they were the other big pillar that we had. And it was through their program that these students were able to come to Phalaborwa. I think I would do the experience injustice if I was to tell you how it was. But one thing for sure, this is a project that's going to go forward just based on the experiences and how they felt their lives were impacted and empowered. This is definitely something we're going to continue driving. The last piece of it, I had 2 alumni come in who wrote a business case study on a women's cooperative, sewing cooperative. And our goal there was to try and capture the experience we had in Phalaborwa and capture the ways of the people, the cultures and the business dynamics, and bring it into our business school, or to UBC for that matter, so that students can engage with it through a business case study. So that's the vision behind it. And that we're in the stage of finalizing it, and hopefully in January, that will be hitting hopefully some curriculum where people will be starting to engage with the case. Now, what you see up there is the team that I had in Phalaborwa. I don't know, yeah, unfortunately I missed out on that picture, but the person on the far right is Malesela Letswale. He is the director of the Phalaborwa Foundation. Now, one of the things I acknowledge and I appreciate is that if it hadn't been for this team of people and the team that I had here in Vancouver, that this project, this dream would never have gotten off the ground. And so it would be criminal of me to speak of this project and its success as independent of these minds and these people. And my hope is that going forward, that this model that we've created around bringing in alumni, staff, faculty, and members of the business community, the Vancouver community, bringing them together to drive a project that is of heart, right? I hope that that's the model that at UBC and also in our business school we continue to drive. Because right now there is no space and there's no project that you're going to work on where you can engage with alumni that are out there in the field that have experiences and exposures to things that you're interested in keen on, right? And I honestly think that we're sitting on gold. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this project is going to move forward. But what I just want to share with you from this project, right, is that from my end, yes, I created a learning environment that in a classroom, right, I would never get. Having to lead a team, right, of CEOs, a team of faculty, of alumni, was the greatest challenge I've ever come across. I can sit in a class and, you can learn all these things from all different ways. I can lead a club organization, but that was an experience that summarized my learning here at UBC. And I challenge many of you here that if there's ever something that you think that's what it will do for you, go ahead and drive it. Because learning goes beyond just what you engage in the classroom, but you need to go out there and start experiencing it. The other thing was just the passion, right? The fact that when I wrote this up, I thought it was a dream, right? Many things that I've tried have failed before. And so, I had quite good grounds to believe that, this might not work as well. But you never know until you try. And so those are some of the takeaways that you can take from this project. But what I want to drill into in the last minutes I have, I don't know how many, is the reflection, when I came back and started thinking about this project, right, was what was my goal? Why did I start this project, right? And when I think about it, when I came to UBC and to Canada and Vancouver, and the first few weeks that I spent here, I was like, this place is so amazing. How am I going to connect my people to this type of space, right? Given that I was a product of many other people that had invested in me to be where I am today, how am I going to give back to my hometown? And so from the word go, I was already thinking of things to do. And this project has done exactly that. It's created a connection between my experience and my exposures here to my people in Phalaborwa. But the other thing was, I had worked with Africa Awareness since I came here. And the greatest challenge that we've always had is this story of, thinking of Africa as one-sided, having this one-sided thinking and notion to Africa. Being an African on this campus, you come across many characters and many individuals. And you hear varying and dynamic things about what Africa is. And through that, I've come to think of this notion, and I alluded to it earlier, this let's not save Africa, right? A mentality that, sorry, let me try that again. The mentality of let's save Africa, right? And through my reflection, I built this thinking that, well, let's not save Africa. Because if you were to go and engage with the community and you have this thinking that I'm here to save you, you're never going to be invested in hearing the stories of the people. You're never going to be invested in hearing the dynamics and the vibrant and the colorful side because you're there, right, with what's been built in you about this is what Africa is. And this is why, when I thought of a title for this topic, I thought connecting it through genuine stories. Right? Because I think that when you use stories as a mean, right, of going to connect and engage with the community, that's what's going to break down the barriers. And that's where it's going to enrich your experience, and also the experience of the people you're going to engage with, because you're also gaining something, right? Believe it or not, there are stories in Africa that can empower and build who you are, even though you're from the West. And at the same time, the people that you're going to engage with, there is something from them as well that they're going to learn and gain from you. So with this project, I wanted to build that two-way connection, to build the thinking and the mentality that it's beyond just disease, it's beyond just hunger, right? That there is something there for us. And this is what led me to continue to pursue it. Now, it was quite interesting the other day, last week actually, when we were watching Kana. And he alluded to this story as well. And he said, you know what, you come into a plane and all you see is just a picture of a starving African in front and then said, donate, you know? And as Africans, that's something that we've gotten used to seeing. In fact, being in the West, that's probably the perception and the thinking of Africa we have, right? And I was committed to challenging that. And I thought this project, let me just bring people to my hometown so they can experience it in a way that I think they can come back and tell the story, the dynamic and colorful side that also exists. They have never, and I can assure you now, one of the guys is in the crowd, they've never experienced such open, welcoming, genuine warmth in any people, right, in this world. That's what the Phalaborwa people gave to them, right? And they know it. That's the story they told on Wednesday when we had a reception. They'll never go anywhere else in the world and be received in the way that they were in Phalaborwa. And so just coming there with the thinking and understanding that this is what I'm going to gain as well from it. This is what I'm going to learn from it, right? To me, it's going to change the way that development projects are going to work. And in going forward, I think it's something Jen also alluded to, that you can't go into a place, right, with your own way of thinking and trying to rearrange as you know it, right? You have to go there and appreciate what the people are there to do. Now, in closing and going to the story that I started off earlier, right? Many of you sitting here want to do amazing things, right? And my challenge to you is that whatever it is you want to do, make sure that you're doing it out of the right place. Make sure that you're doing it out of heart, right? I asked the young lady I was talking to, I asked her those questions of trying to find out why you're doing it. Why are you doing it, right? Because I knew that she needs to understand where it's coming from. One of the things that I've learned is that truth has a really funny way of coming out. And so if you are not doing it from the right place, right? If you're going to want to do whatever awesome things you want to do, just so that you feel good about yourself, which is what Super Freakonomics, I don't know if many of you know the book, it suggests that Western people give and donate to causes and African causes just so that they can sleep at night. If that's the reason why you do what you do, I would definitely question that. And so with that, the point I'm drilling home is that do things out of the heart, but make sure that you're connecting a genuine story to it. And I hope that doesn't deter you, but it encourages you to start thinking more critically, especially when it comes to African projects. Start to think critically about why is it that you're doing it. And with that, thank you for the time. Thank you.